What are some COVID-related issues for LGBTQ plus students that faculty should consider? In particular, are there protocols for remote learning or over Zoom?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Alyssa. So there's a few things, specifically being both on and off campus. A lot of LGBTQ plus students will experience different forms of isolation that can result in increased anxiety and depression, which, LGBTQ plus students or LGBTQ plus people already have greater mental health disparities. And that is because of social stigma and stress and lack of access to resources and things like that. And so when you have students who are isolating, whether that's on campus or remotely, they don't have contact with affirming resources, whether it's the LGBTQ plus center or, other resources like the UCC or something like that as easily accessible, especially if they're off campus. And so isolation happens, and that can trigger increased anxiety and depression. There's also, as along the lines of a loss of resources and affirming supports, you have things that are lost, like student support. So peer supports of students who would be involved in like Lambda, our student organization on campus, or our affinity groups. We meet remotely now for our affinity groups, but that still is an isolating event, right? We're still communicating through a screen. And for a community that for so many years has relied on our ability to come together and build networks and be physically present with each other, and that is our way of sustaining and being resilient, to suddenly lose that is also a loss of identity and a loss of a resource or an access to that resilience, right? So it's layered a bit. And then if you add on to that, specifically right now, for students who exist at the intersection of multiple marginalized identities, so students of color, Black and Indigenous folks of color, and who are also LGBTQ identifying, those folks are experiencing COVID and the issues around police brutality that are happening, and also in isolation, right? So they also have the increased anxiety and depression, not just from the loss of their LGBTQ plus community and being isolated, but also from the stressors that's happening in society right now. And, worrying about COVID, worrying about campus closing and having to be sent home, like that impending moment where, especially as abruptly as it happened in spring, like that idea that it could happen as abruptly again is a bit traumatic for students who have to return home to a place that is not affirming, that could be a source of trauma or be an unwelcoming or difficult place to exist in. So there's a lot there, and all of that is happening in a pandemic, right? And so you're also struggling to worry about your own health and safety and the health and safety of your community and the people that you love and care about, and being isolated from each other adds to all of that stress and anxiety.